Okay, very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zahid Mubarak, and I'm very pleased to welcome you for this today's briefing around the 10th Annual Global D&I Benchmarks Award 2027, which is held around the International Women's Day. Of course, it's not exactly on the 8th of March because of the Ramadan, but it will be held on 25th March. And it's almost a decade now in this journey. So I assume that today in our this orientation briefing, we have a two set of participants. One is that group who is completely familiar with the overall GDIB standards and the process of awards. And there are also certain newcomers, which is nothing new about it, because it's every year some new organization get into this cycle, and we welcome each one of you. So whatever that I'm going to mention over here, for somebody who has already been through this process, this might be a repetition. And for the newcomers, of course, this is going to be new information. So I value patience of everyone to be together and go through this cycle completely. So in our today's segments, we are going to, first of all, I'll highlight the salient aspects of the GDIB awards. Followed by this, we're going to ask at least a couple of people to talk about their experiences. Although we captured these experiences through these surveys, through other events where the people come and their leader, they talk about it. But this is also a good opportunity to reflect how this D&I and GDIB journey is impacting your organization. And we'll also have a kind of orientation around the GDIB portal. First of all, about the HR metrics. I know you do not need an introduction, but customary, I think it's important to better understand each other. HR metrics, we have three unique value propositions to offer to the industry. One is the human capital data analytics. That is where we differentiate ourselves in a way that Government of Pakistan has appointed me as official chair and representative to the ISO Geneva on developing the HR standards, where I have played a pivotal role in developing the human capital disclosure standards around the data metrics analytics. I worked with more than a dozen international standards bodies in face-to-face environment in developing these standards. That include the American standards, German standards, Italy standards, Singapore standards, Netherlands standards, France standards, British standards, Australia standards, Indonesia standards, Canada standards, Japan standards. And we have built colonies around the world on the comprising the practitioners who use these standards. Highest number of our concentration of our alumni is in Japan, more than 930 people we have certified in Tokyo. The second value proposition is the SHR and HR competency standard, which is passport for the global mobility. So in that context, for more than a decade, we are helping the organization and particularly the HR practitioners to acquire these qualifications to leverage their own performance, their own career growth, as well as the organizations. So by now, we are confident to say that more than 200 companies have certified practitioners within Pakistan. And I think a good number of the people are enjoying their career growth abroad as well out of our alumni. A third unique area of expertise, diversity and inclusion, where I myself served on the board of directors of the Center for Global Inclusion. And I imported the standard to Pakistan. This is a universal standard. And by now, 78 organizations are practicing the global D&I benchmark standards. So these are the three areas that we serve. We are not in the other traditional areas of the human HR management. Before we get into more details, it's very important to give credit to the authors of the GDIB. Three people: Nini Mulafi from South Africa, Julie Umera, who is currently retired, and she was one of the main and the co-author of the GDIB, and Alan Richter, both Julie and Alan from the USA. 112 global experts have contributed toward the development of the standards across the globe that provides a uniqueness to the standard in a way that it's a global standard. And from Pakistan, also myself, with one more colleague, he was head of the Department of the Management Sciences from LUMS, contributed toward the development of the standards. So these people are called EPs, expert panelists. GDIV currently is being offered by the global partners. So every partner enjoys a unique territory to serve the market. There are 3 partners within the United States. Then there's a partner in the UK, the Germany, Pakistan, India, UAE, South Africa, and the Australia. That means that you go to any part of the world, you would find partners and the user companies who use these standards, and this becomes your universal brand. If you're using the D&I, you don't need any kind of introduction in any of the market. Now, the next question is the why D&I? At this apex level, you understand that our country is a signatory of the Sustainable Development Goals, where there's a commitment to improve the diversity and inclusion through various SDGs. So at least there are 6 SDGs which are supported by the GDIB. Within the country, there's a legal provision. Article 27 of the Constitution promotes equal opportunity. And then there are regulators, the SECP, the State Bank of Pakistan, who play a assertive role in promoting diversity and inclusion because of the various economic and the social benefits. Now, we are not the regulators and we are not responsible for the compliance. We position D&I as an asset, as a competitive advantage for the organizations. So during this process of understanding, is it important and why it is important, we consult the organization, the practitioner organizations. So this is a response from the organization who said, why do we practice the GDIB? Primarily to promote the inclusive leadership, enhance their employer brand, to diversify their recruitment, for the development of the team, enhancement of the productivity and the engagement, fair treatment, strategic alignment of the organization, promoting innovation, creativity, work-life balance, and the final component is compliance part of it, which is automatically achieved when you achieve the higher end things. Now, for us, the D&I is like an oxygen. We do not spare any effort in undertaking various initiatives. Now, various initiatives includes the promotion of the GDIB standards, which is a universal document, and also providing a capability to the organizations. Quite recently, we have concluded a D&I certification program comprising of at least 62 people, and the organizations were given the hands-on opportunity to understand the conceptual and the practical framework. And I think around 3 dozen experts from around the globe, they participated, they act as a faculty member in this D&I certification program. Women for Board Directory is another flagship program to support gender diversity, where we help positioning of the women at the board level. And these are the women who are, some of them already at the board level, and some of them, they want to be at the board. Then the D&I magazine, which is a very good publication to promote the best practices. For the organizations who want to get into the cycle, it's very important to benefit from these features, because these are women D&I magazines, a free of cost document. And the final and the important component is a response to the key question that exists in the organization, that what's the fair number of acceptable number of the women at the various levels. So we conduct the D&I benchmarking surveys. By now, we have data of 60 organizations. We do not share the confidentiality of the organization, but the market median and average benchmarks are shared. And this survey is open, and you're welcome to attempt the survey if you want to get a detailed report. Now, overall briefing I have condensed into in the form of the small nuggets, so that you can absorb the information, and if still there's something left, we can answer those questions at the end. So what is a GDIB? This is a key question. As I said in the beginning, most of you would be fluent and would have a fair understanding, but for the sake of newcomers, I'm going to go through all the information. So GDIB is a very structured document. You can see the infograph triangle, which basically comprises of at least 4 groups: the foundation group, the internal group, external group, and the bridging group. So every terminology which is written under every group has a complete framework. For example, under the foundation, we have the vision, leadership, and structure. Under the internal, you have the attract and retain people. That's the HR bit, including recruitment, advancement, compensation, flexibility. Under the external, this is the business group where the corporate social responsibility, the products and services, the marketing, and the responsible sourcing or the supply chain that comes under this segment. And the final, the bridging one, where you evaluate everything to see that is it being communicated to all the stakeholders or the dominant stakeholders? What are the key lessons? What are the key learning points? What has worked? What has not worked? And how does it contribute to the sustainability? So this is a very lavish framework. And before digging deeper into it, it's important to pay certain attention to some of the vital terminologies that are being used. So we use the word global. That means that's not specific to the region. It's not specific to a country. It's a universal standard. Diversity. Now, diversity as a concept refers to all kind of similarities and the differences that you create in the organization intentionally. Now, these are the possible dimensions of the diversity that can include the age, the gender, mental health, religion, appearance. This is written in the alphabetical order, at least 28 dimensions. So over here, what I want to emphasize that, for example, one of the dimension is disability. So many times I hear and people considering that disability is a form of inclusion. Please remove this kind of faulty understanding, not only for yourself and for the entire organization. Disability is a form of the diversity. In what is inclusion, I'll come to it subsequently. So the 28 dimensions, those are there. And the next word is the equity. Again, there's a certain, these are the basic terminologies, but despite being practitioner of the D&I at times at a strategic level, I find people having a faulty notion about something. Equity, many people perceive it as an equality, or at times I also hear people calling it musawat. No, there's nothing as musawat. It's basically equity is removing the systemic, obstacle, hindrance to the growth without compromising the outcome, the results. And this image on the right side should give you a fair understanding of what is equity and what is equality. So the GDIB promotes equity, not the equality, right? And the inclusion part of it. Now, what is inclusion? When you bring people who do not harmonize in terms of the culture, in terms of the appearance, in terms of the dress, in terms of the language, in terms of the attitude, first thing is to reconcile and show acceptance for them. The acceptance for them in terms of their languages, their tones, their communication preferences, without compromising on the organization code of conduct. So making them feel valued in terms of their festivals, their all other kind of preferences that you can accommodate in the organization, so that they don't look like strangers. So this is how you basically have a better understanding about the GDIB. In the last word, the benchmark. Now, benchmark is a typical point, a standard, a reference point, which tells this is what to be achieved. This could be a statement. This could be a number as well. In the GDIB, there are no numbers because numbers are always relative. They cannot be fixed, right? So benchmark is a kind of a desired outcome of the result that you have to achieve. So that's how the understanding of GDIB becomes complete, right? Now, I talked about the 28 dimensions, but you understand that these are very lavish dimensions. They are applicable across the world. So every society has got its own preference. So during our various interventions, including the surveys that we conduct with the organization, we asked organization, what is important for you? I'm talking about Pakistan. And this was the response, that the gender in terms of preferences being practiced by almost 100% organization, followed by the work experience, age, religion, culture, job role, generations. But when we look at the data, currently the submission for the organization, we find that most of the dimensions of the diversity are subtle, and at least there are 8 dimensions which are, you can call them, more tangible in Pakistani environment, where the organization have a deeper focus relatively, right? And predominantly out of them is the gender, and then followed by the different preferences. But as I said, this is some insight that I'm going to give you. Otherwise, you have a wider choice to focus on any of the 28 different dimensions. Now, in terms of architecture, that I've already shown you this triangle, which has got 15 categories. Now, each category is followed by a clear statement, a narrative. For example, you say vision. Now, what is vision? It says developing a strong rationale for the D&I vision, mission, and strategy aligned with the organization goals. This is one statement, right? It gives you a deep, better understanding. So there's a narrative, there's a statement for every category. For example, this is now the internal group. So there are recruitment, advancement, job design, work life, and the statement for every category. External group, the same structure, and also the bridging. Now, if you dig deeper into it, for example, over here, you go to the internal and you want to understand what is work-life integration, flexibility, and the benefits, the standard document that we are going to provide you, it provides a clear pathway, the pathway in a way that you can understand what your organization is doing with reference to the various benchmarks, what is the level of maturity. The lowest level of maturity for the organization, I would not call it the maturity, but the immaturity for the organization is that it's inactive. There's nothing happening, right? The next level of maturity is reactive, where there are certain benchmarks. For example, benefit programs are generally one size fits all, and the values are relevant to the employee is not monitored. That work schedules are generally traditional, inflexible, and compliance driven. The next level is the proactive. Again, we have got 3 to 4 benchmarks. These benchmarks vary somewhere 2, 3, or 4, or maybe 5 as well, which is a higher order benchmarks, which says that organization culture equitably treats those who work flexible schedules and so on. And then there are further higher level benchmarks, which are called the progressive. You see there are at least six benchmarks over here. So it says policies and practices guard against favoritism and communicated and applied equitably all across the organization in a culturally sensitive way, plus few more. And the best practice, we say the organization policies and practices regarding benefits, work-life integration, flexibility, meet the organization commitment to decent work, psychological safety, and respect for human rights. So there's a higher degree of maturity for the organization. So this framework is applicable to all the 15 categories. I told you about just one category. Now, what is coming out of this process is that for all the 15 categories, you find at least 5 levels. The level 1, which is called inactive, the level 2, which is called reactive. Inactive is evident from the name, nothing is happening. You need not to worry about it. Reactive, where you're starting with the D&I, but your focus is to comply with the laws, the regulations. You're not sensitive about the D&I. Now, actual maturity starts with the proactive. When you start practicing the D&I, but it's in a stage of infancy, you're the starter. The progressive phase, when you have the fair results and the outcomes, and the best practices when you're widely known in the industry for your exemplary practices. Now, awards are meant only for 3 levels. Level 3, level 4, and level 5. And our marking sequence is very clear. Every benchmark at every level gets the proportionate number. For example, we're at level 3. You're at a level 3 and you practice, for example, 3 benchmarks out of it. So every benchmark got 3 marks. You are practicing 3, so you get 9 marks over here. So marking is very simple for the GDIB evaluation purpose. Now, why should you use the GDIB standards? This is a key question. It's not that everyone is doing it and you would like to do it. We ask this question because by now having gone through these repetitive cycle, we feel that this answer should come from the organization and not from ourselves. So the organization say that they use it for the assessment. They want to get a comprehensive understanding about the D&I. There's a lot to unlearn in this process because the traditional concept that exists in the market, in many cases, those are flawed. The organization is able to track the progress. They are able to develop and revamp the strategy. They are able to better engage the employees. The overall goal setting, goal alignment, and even hiring of the D&I professional is also based on their qualification, and GDIB provides a good framework. Now, as we get every year, once we get into this these awards process, our goal is to give visibility, the recognition to the organizations who do exemplary work. And over there also, we are stand out in a sense that you are sitting in the market, you know it better how the awards happen. So one, that we insulate ourselves in a way that no sponsorship from the organization who participate in the awards. If organization want to give certain giveaways, gifts for the welfare of the benefit of participants, attendees, for their own branding, for their own goodwill, we welcome. But from the participating organization, we do not get any sponsorship for the awards. That helps us in making the more assertive, more neutral, and objective decisions. Then the awards are based on a global standards. It's not an individual or a consultant or a group of people who decide about something. Our jury is truly international, national and international, who conduct independent evaluation, and your awards assessment fee that is paid by the organization has got no relevance. The fee is basically that is paid to cover the logistics, the marketing part of the awards, the ceremony, the food, the refreshment. That is the administrative part of it. Otherwise, it has got no bearing on the assessment. So this makes us stand out in the market, and this should help also. This also elevate the branding of the organization who participate in the award, is because these are the true merit based. I talked about the jury. This is basically a group of the jury members of the 2026. We had representation from the Pakistan, the head of the CEO of an audit company, from Canada, from the UK, from the South Africa. And these are the people who have a hands-on expertise. Some of them, like Linda White, has been the president of the Center for Global Inclusion USA. The Gamiel Yafai is also one of the contributors of the DDI standards. He currently teaches the D&I certification in the New York as well. And Nini Mulafi, of course, she is one of the co-authors, and Muniza Osman, but of course, bringing a credible kind of credibility to the award, being the head of the audit firm. So that's how the evaluation of the awards takes place. Now, how the companies, they treat the GDIB. Over a period of time, we have observed that currently, till now, there are at least 78 companies in Pakistan who are using the GDIB in their own way. And this is to our record. And we determine this thing with the help of the participation. And with the help of the disclosure that comes out during this process. But otherwise, some organizations using the GDIB, and we have no information, there is a possibility the organization can use. So out of these 78, whosoever organization, they formally go for the disclosure every year, we come to know. So you can say around 50 organizations are currently actively participating, practicing the GDIB. And this is the order of the organization from highest to lowest in terms of their ranking of the GDIB awards of this 2026 year. The award was held in the month of, I think, the month of April. And various sectors who participate in the various awards, I would say we have active or thin participation almost from every sector, every important sector. Predominantly, of course, the banking and finance, or you can say the service sector, followed by the the overall pharmaceutical, which is part of the manufacturing and the manufacturing durable energy, telecom, etc. And the various industries who participate in the various number of the awards. For example, the overall average categories, those are being attempted by the manufacturing is like 11% of, right? So this how the sectors to participate. Now, this is a glimpse, a portion of the the results from the past awards, and I'm not showing all the complete all the organization results because the organizations who are at the lower end do not feel pride in it. I'm just sharing with you the top, you can say 19 or 20 organizations. Why I have truncated it at 19 or 20? For the reason that we feel that GDI is a very comprehensive framework, and any organization which practices less than 40% of it technically should not be called the GDIB practicing organizations, because your goal is to impact the organizations, is to impact the industry, is to impact the country. And that is only doable when you take the system approach, not just practicing the one odd category. From the business point of view, it's good, but we have to look at the impact that the organization bring. Yes, it's natural to start from somewhere. We do not expect the organization to take a jump start from going to 100%, but we expect the organization to gradually evolve but take a significant start and move up the ladder during the process. So based on our past year evaluations, these are the top 10 companies. Previously, I showed you like 19 companies, so these are top 10 companies. And you would find that out of these 4 companies, at least there are 4 out of these all 10 companies, at least there are 4 which have achieved 100% score. Even with a 5th company, there's a very negligible difference, but difference is there, of course. So what do we mean by most inclusive company? The 4 companies which get the 100% score. Now, what is different about them? These are the companies who compete on all the benchmarks. That means that they do not just rely on the bare minimum or the minimum acceptable benchmark, but they compete. These are high-end companies. They follow the global best practices. They can demonstrate the clear, measurable progress and provide evidence, and their narrative is easy to understand. Now, why I'm reflecting it over here, that I'm sure when you participate in the awards, there's always an aspiration to win the awards. Although award itself is nothing, it's the proxy to your own efforts, the contribution in your organization. Whatever you do in the organization, you can demonstrate through the awards. It's a recognition, it's a third-party validation. So keep these things in mind while you submit your narrative and you want to be among the high-end organizations. And I also give a lot of credit to the leaders of these organizations in a way that when we started with the D&I journey 10 years ago, the level of participation was very, very tactical, very low level. But over a period of time, it evolved. And now the D&I, the organization leaders, they are at the forefront in being the role model of the D&I. And once the organization win the award based on the ranking, we encourage leaders to come forward and speak during the award. This is the journey that we follow. So previously, I think once the awards are complete in the month of March, we give a period of like 2 to 3 months where the organization, during that process, we give full update regarding the history to the organizations, so that they can understand, because people keep on changing in the organization. So we give a summarized version of their complete track record so that they can organize themselves. In the month of June, the first alert about the GDIB awards comes. This year, it was followed by a comprehensive 1-month training, which is over now. And we offer this training after a period of like 2 to 3 years. We don't get into a frequent training because we felt it was much needed. And then is the GDIB Award Alert 2. And this year, as we kept a provision of early bird registration in a way that organization can benefit from this early bird registration. We also get a better understanding about the estimate of the organization so that we can align our logistics arrangements, including the jury, including the selection of the venue, other things, basically those are based on the number of the participating organizations. So formally, call for award is going to start on 1st of August. It will be valid till 15th of September. And after that, once it is done, our team takes certain time to validate the data and give you the feedback if your submission is incomplete. But that's not an assurance on the quality of submission, because we don't intervene in the assessment of the awards. Is done by to the third party. Of course, we manage the process. And then the awards are announced as a good news on the 1st January. That's a happy new year for that, so that the organizations who win, they take it with a lot of honor. They're stepping into a new year with a lot of pride. And then the awards are going to be held on 25th of March. So currently we stand now at this point of time. So you can say the early registration for the award that with some discount was there, that is closing tomorrow. And for the awards submission is going to start from 1st of August. So currently we stand over here. Now, this is a glimpse from the past GDIB awards. Various organizations have, they achieved this prominence. And I'm sure the more organizations are committed to be the most inclusive company of 2027. Which organization becomes, we can't say anything about it, right? And now, one final bit, that is the kind of new things. What has changed in this current year? One that we have kept a minimum requirement of at least 5 categories. Maximum you can go to 15. So why we kept 15? As we said, that we have seen that two set of organizations, those who get into the D&I, they progressively scale up. And some of the organizations you just stick to, something very basic and live over there. Now you understand that D&I is like an organic, it's a systemic structure. It's like the human body. It's like a vehicle that you run. So it's not possible that you do some calibration when one part of the vehicle and other things are out of order and it runs smoothly. No, it's not going to run. So in that case, in a similar way, the D&I, unless you do some configuration with every aspect, maybe the HR management, the strategies should start with the strategy, the business, the product, the services, the supply chain, and then you establish the clear measurable links with the sustainability. You have a formal assessment. That's where the results come in. So that's why we have taken the decision to jack up these organizations, and I hope the organization take it positively. The next thing, the GDIB, it says the organization should comply with all the GDIB standards, right? If they want to be called as on the best practices. But we know that this is a hardship. It's not doable right from the outset. So we started with at least 50% plus previously. Now it's going to 75%. We also realize the hardship of the organizations. I already told you that most inclusive companies, they don't rely on 75%. They go to 100% because that there's an advantage also, because something is not acceptable to the jury, the chances of downgrading are not there, and they still are in that kind of higher category. So from the award winning perspective, we have kept a threshold of 75%. But for the future, I'm not saying when, it's 2028 or 29, depending on the organization maturity, it will be ultimately taken to 100%. But we want to make it, for the organization, affordable for the organization, the doable for the organization. Now, the supporting evidence. In terms of supporting evidence, it's good to have more and more evidence, but sometimes it can become a disadvantage for the organization, in a way that some organization, for example, you need a narrative of 300 words or maybe 250 words, and you need some supporting evidence. The organization submit like 70 to 80 pages for their supporting evidence. Now, who is going to read the 70 to 80 pages? Because jury members, we engage them, we provide them, give them certain honorarium. They're not here because of the honorarium. They're respectable members, and they also have a quality time. So they have to just focus on the objectivity. So over there, we do not recommend overdoing. So in that context, we have kept a provision of only 3 supporting evidence. I'm sure my colleague is going to walk you through after my conversation. So you just focus on the narrative it should complement the benchmarks and provide at least three, minimum one evidence, minimum one, maximum up to three evidence, and you cannot upload more than three evidence. So these are the, I think, the key, you can say the differentials in 2027, that were not in 2026. And if you have any question, comment, do let me know. Now, for example, as I said, 75% of the benchmark, what do I mean? For example, you have a category work-life integrations, and you want to apply for the progressive, and they've got 6 benchmarks. 75% mean that you need to comply with at least 5 out of 6. Now, which could be those 5? It could be your choice. You want to go for 7.8, 7.9, 7.10, 7.11, or 7.12, or anyone, right? So that's the understanding part of it. So over here, I stop. And before I move to some of the distinguished speakers whom we asked on a voluntary basis to, share their experience, let others know in tangible terms how the D&I and whether the GDIB has leveraged their organization performance, how it has impacted their career growth, and whatever they want to talk is their freedom. But I would like to stop over here for a moment and take your question that you may have, and then I would request the speakers, and I would subsequently invite the speakers. So any question or the comment you may have? Are you comfortable? Is everything good? Okay, there's complete silence. I'm assuming that everything has been understood properly, but I'm here, and feel free to ask anything that bothers your mind or where you need more clarity. So in the order of speaking engagement, first of all, I would like to invite Anam Afzal. Anam gets the credit of consistently driving the D&I at the HPL. As I said, HPL is among the top most inclusive company, and it's consistently in the top since last few years. Of course, every company revolves around its own cycle. Of course, the role of D&I practitioner is very important in this regard to leverage the D&I performance. So, Anam, over to you. I would like to hear your perspective around the question that how GDIB standards and the frameworks have impacted your organization for performance. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zahid Saab. I hope everybody can hear me. First of all, good evening. For the ones who do not know me, my name is Anam Afzal. I am heading diversity at HPL. As part of my responsibilities, I work closely with the leadership to ensure we embed DEI into all our operations, from hiring to culture and beyond. Very quickly, I will get to the question Zahid Saab has put me through. I remember when HBL first embarked on this global DEI benchmark journey, we thought we were just participating in yet another award. But I believe we soon realized we were just holding up a mirror to our organization, a mirror that just did not celebrate what we were doing well. I guess it challenged us to confront what we weren't doing well enough. And I believe that is the true value of this framework. As already discussed, HBL is proud to have been recognized as the most inclusive organization 3 times, most recently in 2025. But I would like to say this very clearly. The award is just the outcome. The benchmark is what creates the outcome. So benchmark does not ask what initiatives have you launched. It basically asks how has inclusion changed the way our organization is leading, hiring, developing people, designing workplaces, engaging communities, and measuring success. So these are 2 very different questions, and answering them has fundamentally changed how we operate. What Zahid Saab had asked me was I should be focusing on the tangible impact. So for tangible and intangible, and starting with the tangible first, the first impact has to be the governance piece. A few years ago, diversity could easily have been seen as a responsibility of one function. Today, it is a leadership agenda. It is owned through the executive sponsorship, our diversity advocacy network, our diversity council, our DEI champions, and now our GMs as well, who are increasingly accountable for representation, progression, retention, sponsorship, workplace experience within their own teams. Now, that shift from ownership by a team to an ownership by leaders has probably been our biggest achievement. The second impact has been decisions through better data. The framework pushed us to stop looking only at overall representation. Instead, we began asking better questions. Where are women progressing? Where are they leaving? What grades? After how many years? What barriers were they facing? Because better questions, I feel, lead to better decisions, and better decisions will always lead you to better outcomes. The third impact has been our purposeful interventions. So the benchmarks challenge us to stop asking what program should we launch next, if you ask me. Instead, it started to focus, or helped us focus on what barriers are we trying to remove. So that simple shift changed the way we design everything, whether it's leadership development or reintegration after maternity, mobility solutions, or creating a more inclusive workplace policy. Every intervention now starts with a workforce challenge, not within activity. Finally, the enterprise ownership. A strong submission cannot be just written by the DEI folks. It requires recruitment, learning, facilities, procurement, communications, technology, business functions, and leadership to work together. And that's exactly what happened. The benchmark made inclusion everyone's responsibility, not just ours. And by ours, I mean HR's. Now, if I have to quickly take you guys through the intangible impact, while the structural changes are always important, I believe the cultural changes are even more significant. The benchmarks gave us a common language. Today, I feel, after looking after this particular portfolio for the last 2 years, our conversations have really evolved. We no longer ask how many women do we have. We ask, are they progressing? Are they being sponsored? Do we have equitable access to opportunities? Are our leaders creating environments where people can perform at their best? Now, the framework has also created something every organization needs. That's most important, the discipline. So every year, yes, we must demonstrate progress, because that discipline has strengthened our credibility, accountability, and trust across the organization. So what have we learned? If I were to very quickly summarize HBL journey in just 5 words, that would be the structure, the evidence, the ownership, accountability, and progress. Now, these 5 words explain why this framework had such a profound impact on our organization. And I would, on that note, leave you with 3 reflections. First, don't approach the benchmarks or this particular award submission as an award submission. Treat it as an opportunity to challenge your own thinking. The toughest questions are often the most valuable. Second, don't focus on building more initiatives, focus on removing barriers. People don't experience programs, we experience workplaces. And finally, don't let DEI remain the responsibility of one department. The moment inclusion becomes a leadership responsibility, it stops being an HR agenda, starts becoming an organization capability. And that's where the real transformation begins. So at HBL, I genuinely believe this framework has made us a stronger organization, not simply because it helped us earn recognition, but somewhere it did challenge us to become more disciplined, more accountable, more intentional in the way we lead. And that is why, for us, recognition has never been the destination. It has always simply been evidence that we are moving in the right direction. Thank you. And
Brilliant.
I hope I
Brilliant. I
didn't
think,
overrun.
yeah, very concise summary of, the journey. And it really resonates very well in a way that you talked about the governance. So in the first
Absolutely.
order, the things have to be in order at the top level. That is where most of the organization go faulty. They start with the very operational kind of stuff, and they end up nowhere. And then you talked about the accountability, the structure, and the intangible part of the culture, the way the organization, the way you do the things. That's basically makes the difference. So thank you so much, Anand, for making yourself available and sharing your experience with others. I hope the others draw a lot of inspiration from it. And let's also hear the perspective of our next speaker, Faiza Sevo. Faiza, thank you so much for being together. And I know you're practicing the DEI for quite some time. And we would like to have your thoughts on this the question that is around there, that how the frameworks benefits the organizations in your organization setting. So over to you, and thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And thank you, Zahid, for having me. I think a lot of what Anam just covered, I think I've got a lot more to say on that, more or less, given the fact that HPL is a large organization just like ours. I can understand the challenges I think they would have had. It's still a work in progress for us, but I think from K Electric's perspective, I'd like to first say that it's a privilege to be a part of this forum. Yes, you're right. DEI has been a part of my portfolio for the last few years. We've also been participating in the GDEIB Awards for the past 3 years, and I think this is the fourth year running now. And equally proud to be recognized each year also. But so while I'd say that the recognition is encouraging, I feel the real value has actually been in the journey itself. When we first engaged with these standards, I remember when we viewed them, it was more, the understanding we had was that it's more of an external benchmarking framework. And Zahid, I know in your presentation you asked the question, what did these standards do for your organization? So I think for us over time, they evolved more like a strategic roadmap. They helped us understand where we stood. They helped us with identifying gaps. And one of the most important things was that they also helped us by challenging our thinking to look at DEI with a very different lens. So I think we too were sort of looking at DEI with these isolated initiatives instead of a holistic approach. And over time, through these standards, we started questioning and looking at the programs, sort of consolidating everything. We started putting them in pillars, sort of more like the kind of the pillars that you have in your framework. We started asking about inclusivity with our leaders. We had questions around their behaviors. Then we started talking about what is the employee experience looking like from our policies. See, the problem at our end has always been that we are a brand which is very driven by our main umbrella corporate brand. So for us to come out shining on our employer brand perspective, we really need to make that effort a little bit extra. So that, keeping that in view and then consolidating everything in a very structured kind of a manner, I think helped us shift our perspective into a more meaningful impact for our employees. We created a DEI strategy, and that too is somewhat based on these standards or these such frameworks where we have pillars that we've derived from the GDIB itself, right? Now, today, if I look at how things have been and how they've evolved over the last few years or over the last 3 years since we've started actively participating, I think talent acquisition is looking at things differently. Our employee engagement is a bit different. We are looking at there's not a lot of agility that we can bring to our policies, but whatever we can, given the nature of our work, we have started strengthening that focus now. We started strengthening our focus on equitable opportunities. A lot of work is now going into accessibility and improving that. We also feel that, yes, increasing representation is very important for us. We are merely sitting at a 7% workforce right now. But like Alam also mentioned, it's not about numbers anymore for us, but it's also about retention. So a lot of that has also come from the partnering organizations and looking at the kind of work they are showcasing and how can we sort of embed some of that within our portfolio as well. So I feel that while all of that is important, then of course sustainability and whether it's measurable or not is also highly important. We are now again also just to repeat, looking at creating DEI councils and not just working with one people DEI team like the one we have right now. It's a small team. The breadth is shorter, of course. So we've also been looking at broadening that lens and making business more responsible, creating a cross-functional kind of a environment where more people are a part of this committee and they champion this as opposed to just us. Also, in terms of the fact that this happens sort of on an annual basis, it gives us that time to do like a stock check of what we've done all through the year. I mean, a lot of times you're doing things in a manner where it's putting out fires really from your day-to-day work, and you don't realize the kind of impact you're bringing in till you actually sit down for the GDIB award submissions, and you look at everything that you're submitting, and it's an opportunity for reflection rather than just a submission in itself. And so again, I'd say that for an organization that's serving millions of customers across Karachi, we have recognized now that our workforce should increasingly reflect the diversity of the communities we serve. We need to build a more inclusive organization. We need to become better at it. We need to keep striving through GDIB. We have been participating in 5, 6, or 7 awards over the last few years, but it gives us the opportunity to strive for more, because then it's again self-reflection to see what are some of the areas we could start improving on. So I think the recognition that comes with it at the end of the year is valuable, but the insights and the discipline and the continuous improvement that this process has been bringing for us is where, for us, the real impact has been. So I'd just like to thank the GDIB team also. And at the same time, all the new participants that are coming in for the first time, I think it's going to be an awesome learning platform for all of you.
Thank you. And thank you for putting it in a way that is the real mechanism to drive the performance, so that you come to know where do you stand and where do you want to go. Okay, so taking the liberty of your presence, I know we're slightly behind the time, but my request to all the audience would be to stay for another 10-15 minutes, because we yet to give a briefing on the portal for 5 to 7 minutes. So Faiza, I want to ask you, your organization started an initiative on the women meter readers in the past, right?
That's
Because
right.
I come to all the disclosures. Very briefly, if you could tell us what was the reason for doing it, what were the benefits derived, and was it a successful? If it worked, what was the reason? What if it did not work? What was the reason? Because I don't know the ultimate situation, but very briefly, in 2 to 3 minutes, you can educate us on that.
Sure. So one of the proud initiatives that we've done in the past, Zahid, we are also part of some forums with the World Bank that are working with the energy companies in the Southeast Asian region. And as a result, we get to meet with a lot of counterparts that have a very similar culture. So if I look at Tata Power or Bhutan or Vietnam or Bangladesh and Nepal and so on. And so these were conversations that we had whenever we had meetings within those forums. And it was something that when we had these conversations, we talked about, and this is way back in 2017, 2018, and we decided, hey, why not look at women in non-conventional roles? So we did a pilot on that. We were the first company in that region to take over that kind of a challenge that came through that particular forum. And we hired women meter readers. We trained them, and not only did we train them, when we sort of spent about a couple of years with them, the World Bank came back and they said that, we have a professor who's based out of Harvard. We'd like to do a study to see, is there any positive impact in you bringing in women meter readers into this role, or is it, or is it sort of like a sort of an impactful kind of an initiative, and we could have done without, because it has come with its challenges, right? When women go into the field, when male meter readers come, they have bikes, and with women, they walk, miles in a day with stray dogs, and they're harassed on the streets, and all kinds of things happen. So they did that study for us. And what we found out was that there was a very noticeable positive impact on the bottom line of the organization in terms of numbers, the number of meters that were read, and then the bills that followed subsequently. So that was when that initiative became successful, we became bolder, and we said, okay, why not now get women in grids? So we then started manning grids, and again, the equipment in the grids is very, very heavy, and you have to be trained to run them. So a few people from my own HR team and the DEI team, they actually ran a pilot. They sat in the the grids for a few days, and they said, okay, will this work or not, or the physique of a woman, will she be able to manage all of that? And once that was successful, we also placed about, I remember, 10 women as grid operating officers. So we keep looking for these different ways to do non-conventional roles. We also, up till last year, we had an apprentice that we had trained, and she became the first line woman to actually get on the pole and fix it. So, it's not the women. The women are actually, they have absolutely no barriers when it comes to what they want to do. It's our mindsets within organizations that we need to evolve and change.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think this gives a lot of encouragement that women can do, and they can prove themselves in all the fields. Wonderfully good. Okay, thank you, Faiza, for sharing your insight with us. And now the last that we have before we move to the portal, Saad Majid. Saad, let us know what is your take on this narrative. Thank you for your presence. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Zaid sir, for the refresher once again. And thank you for inviting us to showcase the impact of GDIB frameworks on our organizations. So I think the biggest lesson that we have taken from this GDIB journey is that inclusion is not a one-time initiative. I mean, it's a long-term commitment. And having said that, at KFC Pakistan, we have a workforce that represents, different religions, background, cultures, and different communities. But over the last few years, we have intentionally focused on two areas. Number one is participation of female workforce, and number two, creating meaningful opportunities for the differently abled community. So talking about gender diversity, I think we recognized earlier that many of the women, they do not need career opportunities. In fact, they need opportunities to build their future, right? And to address this, KFC Pakistan has taken the initiative of introducing a female scholarship program. Through this program, our female employees can actually pursue their higher educations at different leading universities all over Pakistan. And what is so unique about this scholarship is that it is basically for the individuals and not for the employment contract. Meaning, so if a female employee decides to leave KFC Pakistan today, she will continue, getting support from KFC Pakistan for her education. So, I mean, this is one of the initiatives that has really impacted the overall increase in the female workforce. But besides that, we also recognize that there are other practical challenges as well when it comes to female workforce. So since KFC Pakistan has a huge geographical spread across Pakistan and across all the cities. So what we prioritize is that every time we hire a female team member or a restaurant manager, so we prioritize to place that individual close to her residence. Uh, so number one and number two, we always give preference to the female. We always provide them the flexible, shifts. So it is up to them. If they want to work in the morning shift, they are welcome. If they want to work in the evening shift for any reason, so they're always welcome to choose their own shift. So I think with the female scholarship program and with these initiatives from KFC Pakistan, uh, I mean, it has almost double the female workforce. Like if I compare it with 5 years, so I mean, like 5 years back, we had almost 700 employees working for our restaurants. Now the number is almost doubled, which is around 1,300 plus female workforce that are working for us. So I think the second focus area was basically to create opportunities for the different abled community, and that is predominantly hearing impaired employees who cannot actually hear and who cannot actually talk, basically. Um, so KFC Pakistan partners with schools, and we also sponsor schools that educate uh, students with hearing impaired students. And that is not the only thing that we do. So once they complete their education, we provide them the internship and employment opportunities as well. But so once they become employees of KFC, I mean, that is not the only thing that we do. We provide them structured career path. So for instance, if there is a structured career path for the people who are like able, so same structured career path we offer for these people as well. So we have designed content in sign language, and we have professional interpreters who actually train them on all these training interventions. And one more thing that we have, I mean, which is mandatory for everyone who is working in the restaurant, that they have to go through the sign language, the Pakistan sign language program. So all the management team working in the restaurant, the area managers, they have to go through, they have to get themselves trained on the basics of Pakistan Sign Language so that they can communicate easily with these hearing impaired employees. So I think the focus is still there on these two areas to increase the female workforce and to increase the hearing impaired employees. So I think it has been, thanks to the GDEIB frameworks that actually helped us to do, to do something meaningful for the society.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I think all very value-added initiatives, whether you are integrating the specially abled people, you are facilitating the career journey of your employee through scholarships, and also the kind of flexibility. So, thank you so much for your educating us on these developments. And we look forward to hear you again sometime in the future. And
Thank you.
I thank all these speakers for their valued contribution. So with this, let's move to the last part of it. Like, we don't spend much of the time. It's a briefing on the portal, and that would be conducted by my colleague Ikra. So Ikra, please take over. And as far as the verbal briefing is concerned, the orientation part, that's done. Feel free to ask any question anytime through email or through WhatsApp, whatever. We'll be happy to facilitate. So Ikra, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ikra Osman, and I'm the DI Program Manager at HR Matrix. Today, I will be giving you a briefing regarding the GDIB Award Submission Portal and explain you how to submit your award application. So basically, this portal has been designed to bring all the stakeholders involved in the award process onto a single platform. As you know, we have more than 40 participating organizations and an international jury. So it's important to create a centralized, user-friendly system that makes the submissions and evaluation process more efficient and transparent. So getting started, once HR Matrix receives your official confirmation to participate via email, we will create your account on the portal and you will receive an email on your official organization email address containing your login credentials, your username and the password along with the link. So once you will click on that link, it will lead you to this page, which is basically the main portal submission page. As a first step, you can read the submission guidelines from here, and then you will log into the portal. You will use your username and the password that has been shared over the email, and after that, it will take you to the submission form. So I have already opened up some submission form with me, and I have put in a sample data. So it requires you to submit some of the basic informations like your CEO, CHROs, and your focal person name. So once you will scroll down, you are supposed to select minimum 5 and obviously maximum 15 categories. So as a criteria, we have changed this that for this year, you will be submitting your data across minimum 5 categories. So let's suppose that I will be selecting 10 categories as a sample over here to just to give you a briefing. So let's say I select first 10 categories in which I will be applying, and after that I will be uploading my company's logo, and then I will submit the registration process. Once the registration has been done, you will be able to see all the categories that you have selected for which you wish to apply. So as a first step, let's say I'm going to go for the category number 1. Over here, you will be able to see the 3 levels in which the awards are applicable. The first one is the best practice, progressive, and proactive. Depending on your internal assessment, you will decide the level, and let's say that you apply in the best practice level. You will select on this you will click on this button where you will fill the form, and it will lead you to this page where it will describe that what actual action is required and what are the expectations from your organizations related to this benchmark. You will also be seeing a minimum criteria level as an instruction over here, which says that you need to comply to 75% of the benchmarks. So in the first category, as you know, there are total 6 benchmarks. So as a 75% criteria, you need to apply to minimum 5 benchmarks. So going onward, you will be submitting a narrative of about 300 words, and as Zahid explained in his briefing, that you will be uploading a maximum 3 evidences. So I have a pre-written narrative with me. Let's say this is the narrative for 1.1. So I'm just simply copy pasting this narrative over there, and I will be uploading the 3 main evidences for your understanding. Now you can see it's a 281 word narrative, so the portal allows it. Now I will be uploading the files over here that are relevant. Let's say this is a 1.1a narrative. Then I will upload 1.1b, and lastly 1.1c. Okay, now the portal accepts the PDF documents, it accepts the presentations and Excel files. In case you want to upload the links, you need to consolidate them in a PDF document and then upload it. Zahid, would you like to explain this, or should I go ahead?
Yeah, you can go ahead, but slightly move up on the benchmark. Okay, so over here, usually the organizations have a choice what to submit, because this is your choice. For that matter, it's very important to look at the configuration of this benchmark. For example, say DEI strategy is an integral part of the overall organization strategy and reflected in the vision, values, policies, and the practice. Now, it's your job to now demonstrate to the jury member that is it reflected in the strategy? Now, what is the strategy document, right? For the strategy, the overarching reason things are the vision, values, policies, and the practices. These are publicly available. And this could be part of your website, could be part of your annual report, anything which can be verified. You basically present it, And it also talks about the policies and the practices. Keep in mind, now the statement is not just vision and the value, the policies and the practices. What are your D&I policies? So we respect your confidentiality and we do not share your policy with anybody else. So we would expect you to share the extract from your policies, either in the form of the picture, the PDF, and what practices do you use? For example, you said that somebody is running a maternity center. This is a very basic, but I'm just giving an example. So make sure that you understand the question and provide a sufficient evidence, and your evidence is not just skewed to one aspect, because then it becomes a little confusing for the jury member. Like as a jury member, if I look at it, I look at the 4 components. But if the organization just meets just 2 and says it's complied with it, it's not going to be justified. So make sure you have the sufficient content and the evidence. That's why we kept a provision of at least 3 evidence, at least 1 and maximum 4, right? So if your 1 evidence is enough, you think, because every statement does not have these small fragments within it. Sometimes just 1 is enough, right? So look at the question and then respond to it so that your chances of success on the award is higher. That's what I wanted to add. Go ahead, Ikra.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just to add on to what Zahid has said, previously we used to take a consolidated PDF document for each category, but by limiting the number of the supporting evidences, we aim to make this evaluation process more focused and consistent for the jury members as well. Also, just to add, please note that the PDF limitations for over here to be uploaded are maximum 20 MBs. So you need to stay in that criteria. Now I'm just
So
copy pasting.
so if any of the file exceeds that limit, it's good to put it on certain other media like the Dropbox or the YouTube or any other platform from where it is accessible, and provide us the URL over here in the form of the document so that it's clickable, because beyond 20 MB is not going to accept. And one thing more on the top of it, while you are presenting the evidence and you basically address the different aspects of it, it's your choice. I said previously also that you want to go for minimum 75%. For example, you have 6 benchmarks, you want to go for 5 out of it. I mean, it should be at least 75. It's your choice. That's the minimum requirement. But it's better. It's recommended, but it's not must to go for the max. In a sense, if any of the benchmark does not qualify, where the jury feels no, it does not meet the requirement, so you do not lose your chances of winning the award. The other can be considered. So that's an additional advantage that you get. So keep in mind there's a bare minimum requirement, but doesn't stop you to go for the more one. But make sure whatever you submit is substantial. And how do you decide? For example, where should you go for the best practices or the progressive? I'm sure this question would not be bothering the people who already practice the GDIB, but what for the new organizations? Keep in mind that we have additional layer of assessment tools in the form of a separate assessment video, a separate Excel-based tool, which you can use in your organization to determine where do you stand. Because this is a kind of race. It's a contest. You get into it. Prior to that, you have the narrative. You're ready. You should have known what category you want to apply, what's the level of maturity over in each category, so that you can determine with the help of an additional access-based assessment tool, Excel-based tool that you can obtain from ICRA or the Sadia, and they're going to help you in this process, right? Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Continuing from where I left, I will be copy pasting the narratives of and uploading the evidence documents just for this trial. Okay. Let's say this is the 1.2 evidence, then I'm doing similarly for 1.3. Uploading the evidence for 1.3, 1.4. I'm uploading just a single evidence because that's the minimum requirement. And lastly, I will be submitting for 1.5 because overall the criteria is met now. I'm complying to 75% of the benchmarks. Now
And if
I'll
it
be
does
up.
not meet the 75%, it's not going to
Yeah,
proceed
it's not going to proceed ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now you will simply take this evidence has been. Now you will click on this button and you will proceed to review and submit. You will submit this label.
Anything short of it you want to edit, you come across something
You can
wrong.
continue with these edits till 15th of September because that's the last because that's the deadline. And if you can edit your submission narrative and evidences till 15th of September. And if you complete them before that, you will receive a feedback from our organization, the completeness review from HR Matrix team. Now please keep this thing in mind that review or the completeness check is intended to help you identify any missing information or incomplete sections before the deadline. It will not impact the jury's decision. So once your access has been removed or your data has been sent to the jury, you won't be able to edit or access your data. So that's all from my side. If you have any question, please let me know.
Excellent. Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, if there's nothing, we are good to close. Thank you for your participation, for you being together with us. We look forward to your engagement, and let us know if you have you need any support in terms of process clarity, in terms of understanding the GDIB, because as far as the assessment is concerned, that's purely impartial and that's based completely neutral, and we would not be in a position to help any organization in terms of winning the award or and doing anything with the submission. We just provide a constructive feedback that how you can ensure the completeness of the document that you submit after you submit your documents. That's all. Okay, so we are good to close. Thank you so much for your participation and looking forward for your engagement in the future. All the best. Bye.